Greetings, fellow football managers, and welcome back to Set Pieces. This is a topic we've covered very recently, but it's been something I've wanted to revisit for a while, and I think it's extremely topical right now. First of all, I want to thank everybody who had a look and voted and commented on a poll that I put up recently about the direction of this channel and the videos that I do. Thank you so much for that. Again, it gives me a lot to think about going forward. But right now, everybody's talking about Arsenal and the fact that they win every game 5-0, and how a lot of their dominance comes down to how good they are at set pieces. However, just to take you through my initial motivation for making this video, just having a look at Liverpool's recent results over here. These are the last 4 games that Liverpool played. If we go down to the bottom of the screen here, they won 4-1 against Luton Town at home. Not a big deal, you think? They were 1 down at halftime, and the most important goal of the tie, the equalizer in the second half, was scored by Virgil van Dijk from a corner. Then we had the Carabao Cup, where of course Virgil van Dijk scored the identical goal that he did in the previous game. He scored it in the 118th or 119th minute to win the tournament. Then moving up here to Nottingham Forest, their most recent game, and an extremely controversial one according to Nottingham Forest youth product and fan Jermaine Ginas. That goal came as a result of a corner as well. So what is Liverpool doing at corner kicks? And what is Arsenal doing at corner kicks, and why are they so good? I then watched a couple of videos over the early part of this week. First of all, reviewing the Nottingham Forest game. This is the Liverpool FC channel. I don't expect you to watch this video, but I do want to point it out. That's Neil Mellor over there. He does these reviews and previews and things like that for the Liverpool official channel. They were looking at this goal. I'm just going to run this video a little bit, not for too long, obviously. I don't know how copyright and stuff like that works, but I don't think Liverpool would mind me showing you this on this screen here. Let's just run through this video a little bit as Mellor explains. Liverpool are going to take this corner kick. The problem with watching this on the screen, on the telly, if you're like me, you watch a lot of games on the telly, we don't really see too much about what's going on. The TV guys, they always prioritize these great shots from behind the corner taker, Trent Alexander-Arnold's bum, so on and so forth. However, what's going on is going to come into view in just a second as we go forward. Right here, I know this is awfully blurry, but we've almost got it. Right there, actually, we've got it all. There are a total of 5 players inside the box, and if you can't make them out, I don't blame you. This picture is horrible, but that's Virgil van Dijk over there at the far post. That's Ibu Konate. Both of them are 6'4", 6'5". You've got the youngster Jayden Danns, who's also quite tall, 6'2", 6'3", I think. This is Darwin Nunez over here. He was attacking the ball, and that was Luis Diaz, who's about 6 foot, and he started off kind of in the lurk far post area, and he kind of came towards the ball, towards where the corner was delivered around the 6-yard box. So those are the 5 players in there. And these 3 guys, that's Alexis McAllister, who's pretty small, very technical. Wataru Endo, not as big as the other guys, also fairly technical, good at winning the ball. Kostas Tsimikas, a left back, who's again a very good technical player, but also defensively accomplished. And out of shot, if we just go forward a little bit more, just a tiny bit more. Yep, right there, you probably just caught a glimpse of Joe Gomez back there. For everybody who says, why doesn't Joe Gomez score goals? It's because he's there on corner kicks and has the least chance, in fact, no chance of scoring a goal. What I was most interested in, though, was the setup. In that situation, the ball was delivered to the center, but all of the attacking play, Luis Diaz was standing on the far post. Virgil van Dijk is the barometer of what Liverpool are doing on corners because he's always the target. He is by far and away the best player on corner kicks for Liverpool. He's the biggest, he's the strongest, he's the best header of the ball. If he's on the field, you know that the ball is going to be delivered to him. It's just a question of where does he go. So that's Liverpool's setup. 1 guy on recovery, 3 players outside of the box, and then 5 aerial threats. All of those players were 6 foot and more. Luis Diaz maybe not quite 6 foot, but very, very good in the air. He scored a lot of headers. So let's park this video for a second. The second video I watched, this is a fantastic one. This is by Statman Dave. Let's get his picture over here. That's the man. You might know him from That Peter Crouch podcast. He's been on the BBC. He is extremely insightful, and this video breaks down exactly what Arsenal are doing from a bunch of set pieces. I'm only going to cover the corners at the moment, but I highly encourage you to go out and watch this video because it'll help you, just like with corners, to set up things like free kicks. It'll help you understand the background of what's going on and all of that. This is an absolutely brilliant watch, and this is part of the reason why I've actually brought up my video on this, and it's applying this knowledge to Football Manager. So I'm just going to fast forward on this video a little bit. I'm not even really going to play it. I'm just going to show you a couple of images. Let's go here. So when he's identifying what Arsenal are doing from corner kicks, essentially Dave is saying that there are 3 technical attackers on the edge of the box, just like we saw with Liverpool. You have also 5 strong aerial threats inside the box, just like we saw with Liverpool. As the video goes on, he says that Martinelli sometimes gives the option of coming short, so that is something we can think about as well. And then he talks about the fact that they are playing in-swingers. Dave also mentions that the in-swingers are a little bit tricky because the goalkeeper has a good chance to pick them up, and that is something you'll actually see in terms of feedback on Football Manager. When you choose in-swingers or out-swingers, it gives you a list of pros and cons in terms of what can happen. So to paraphrase Dave a little bit, what Arsenal are doing is they're going with the in-swinger. They're preventing the goalkeeper from getting the ball by using this number 4, Ben White, to mark the keeper to prevent him from coming out. They're using then Saliba and Havertz generally, or Gabriel and Havertz, as the guys who are kind of where the corner is aimed at. The other person, so either Gabriel or Saliba, is then going to pick up the pieces if the corner is mishit, underhit, whatever it is. And then Trossard is the fake man. He's the decoy. That is something we've talked about in this video that I'm linking up here. In fact, this video might be a good watch if you just want a basic guide into corner kicks rather than something specific on what teams like Liverpool and more Arsenal are doing from corners this season. Now, the more experienced among you would have had a look at these pictures and gone, hang on a minute, I can do that in Football Manager. And that is exactly what we're trying to do in this video. We are looking at the corner setup and we're going to try and replicate what they are doing. And to be honest, if you look at this setup, I have not changed this recently. And in fact, this was my setup from before I really took a deeper look into what these teams are doing on corners. Am I trying to claim that I'm a genius and should be hired by one of the teams as an overpaid set-piece coach? No, maybe, if you want. Joking aside, though, you can see we're doing basically the same kind of thing. We have, in terms of the out-of-box setup, we have the 2 guys, creative players, the C1s and the C2s, lurk outside, near side, and far side. We also have recovery defenders. We have D1 staying back. So that D1 is basically your Zinchenko, if you can still visualize the video, this one right here. Or if you're thinking back to that Liverpool video I showed you a little while ago, that is Joe Gomez. This second one, D2, this is kind of important because the opposition might say, you know what, if you're going to put so many players forward, we're just going to have one guy out here and one guy out here. Fair enough. So you do need that little bit of flexibility. That's why you give them the stay back if needed, and then you can give them, if not needed, what do you do? So you come forward and you lurk center or lurk near, lurk far, something like that. It's up to you how you set it up, but generally think about where your delivery is going in the routine and then try and put your most creative player kind of where the ball is most likely to be cleared to. So maybe if you're delivering to the near post, make your most creative player your near side, as I've done here. My C1 is near side, because that's what I think is generally going to happen. If I bring that window over here, we can see that Martinelli is offering the short option. That's something that Statman Dave said as well. So we can actually change one of these guys to come short. So maybe you can have this as one routine and then create your second routine up here or your third routine and change this to a come short rather than a near side or a far side or a center, something like that. So you can play with those, having 3 lurkers or one of the lurkers coming short instead. Unfortunately, you can't have one of the recovery defenders coming short. That is not an option. You'll have to actually set it from up here. Remember that unless you dictate mixed or short here, the ball is actually not going to go to that short player. So you can actually have your C2 on come short and make sure that they're not too involved unless the ball gets cleared into that area. For me, though, the sauce is on this left-hand side. As you can see, I've created a box threat. So I've actually dragged my D3. The default setup of the game was a D3 when I chose all of my template settings. So I dragged that D3 over here into the box threat area. You can drag if you click these dots. This is essentially, according to Statman Dave, my Trossard. The game defines a box threat to basically be, let's have a look, anticipation, finishing, and off the ball. So this is going to be kind of your poacher, and I think Trossard fits the bill when we think about that Arsenal team in that particular lineup. They don't quite have a number 9, but if they had a number 9, it would be that guy, I guess. My box threat right now is lurking at the far post. He is a decoy because, as you can see in this routine, we are aiming for the near post. We then have our aerial threats. We've got a lurk at the near post, attack near post, and 2 attack ball from edge of the area. As per what Dave said about, 2 players actually attacking the ball, you had Saliba and Havertz or Gabriel and Havertz, then you just have to set up these different things. So you can have two of them attacking near post, for example, A1 and I guess A3. If Saliba and Gabriel are A1, A2, then it would be Havertz who is A3. So then you would have, let's say, deliveries near post. You would have Saliba attacking near post, Havertz attacking near post. Then you'd have the third guy, Ben White. You'd have marking keeper, or is he A2? Not really. He's probably A4. So you'd have A4 marking keeper, and you would have A2 doing something else. You could say lurk if you want to overload, which is again something that Statman Dave talks about, or you can have something like attack ball from edge of area. Then you can change things up by going to routine 2, and you can change, A1 and A3 to attack ball from edge of area, and then you can have A2 as lurking and whatever it is. You can mix things up a little bit like that. I'm a huge fan of the attack ball from edge of area thing because mixed works nicely with that. The players will kind of understand it as the familiarity goes up. They will understand where the ball is going, and those attack ball from edge of area will be a bit more valuable. And you can set up your routines like that. And for me, attack ball from edge of area is kind of what Liverpool do with Van Dijk. He tends to be more of an attack ball from edge of area kind of guy, although some routines would be attack near post. If you want to duplicate the goals he scored against, for example, Luton and Chelsea, you would probably have Van Dijk as attacking the near post, and you'd set up a couple of decoys elsewhere. One more thing that Statman Dave in this video was talking about is the timing of things and the fact that Arsenal signal with their hand, and when Rice, the taker, puts his hand down, it is the time for the guys in the box to start moving. For me, that is not really something you can engineer with Football Manager, but for me, that is a representative of this tactical familiarity kind of thing. Once that goes up to full, to good, like it is now, and higher, then you'll probably start seeing results, especially with things like attack ball from edge of area, attack near post, more mobile routines. I think you see a little bit more effect. You'll see players doing their job a little bit better. And that is what that represents to me in terms of translating that real life football factor to Football Manager. The one danger that I really see from what Arsenal do that you can't really replicate in Football Manager is the mark keeper thing that Ben White does. That for me, this could be anecdotal, but that for me leads to a lot of offside calls and things like that, because he's unsiding the keeper, he's obstructing the keeper. And for me, I feel that the mark keeper doesn't quite have the effect that it should have. It's not as strong. Then again, I've only experimented with it for a little bit and my tactical familiarity wasn't good enough. Maybe my A4 just wasn't good enough either. So this is something I would love to hear about. If you try this routine or this kind of routine with a strong boy marking the keeper and then try and deliver, for example, to the center with an in-swinger, does the keeper claim everything if they have decent aerial ability? That is something I would like to know, and it would be a tactic I'd like to try out in the future. Maybe it's something I'll experiment with, but not in this save. If you have been paying attention to this screen, you'll see a little logo up here. You'll see a certain taker over here, and then when I click this button, you saw a list of players. This is Sheffield United. Now, a lot of the comments that I've been getting have been encouraging me to try a rebuild or something like that you guys would like to see. And I've previously done a Valencia save, although I'm not too terribly motivated to continue with Valencia because this is now the new patch with updated players and stuff like that. Valencia was started on 24.2. This is game version 24.3 with the February updates and transfers and all of that kind of thing. And it's something I love, even though it doesn't really affect my save that much with Valencia in a league that I don't really know that well. In terms of Football Manager, I do always need the newest stuff. So essentially you can think about this as a little bit of a teaser for a rebuild that I'm planning to do a video on, or a couple of videos on. I don't know how many I'll do. But I have started my rebuild project. It is Sheffield United because, let's face it, they are absolutely rubbish in real life. And if any one of the Premier League clubs needs a rebuild, it is Sheffield United. I've had a couple of comments actually say you should do a Manchester United rebuild. And while I can see the meme value in that, to be honest, any one of you who are watching this video probably could do a successful Manchester United rebuild, if only for the fact that either their players are really overrated in Football Manager, or their real life manager is absolutely rubbish. It's got to be one of those two factors. Because if you look at that team in Football Manager, they are brilliant. The ratings on some of those players, absolutely brilliant. But if you watch them play football in real life, you think, what's going on? To be fair, they have some really, really good players. Players like Rashford. As much as I don't like Ratboy, he's a good footballer when he puts his mind to it. Garnacho reminds me of a baby Tyrannosaurus Rex. Just imagine him with Jordan Pickford's arms, but he's still a very good player. Anthony would be fantastic in the Vanarama National, so maybe not him, but players like Scott McTominay, Kobbie Mainoo, Victor Lindelof, Rafael Varane, absolutely brilliant. I don't understand what's going on that they can't use that team. Clearly, plenty of things are going wrong in a real-life sense, but in Football Manager, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't see too much challenge in actually rebuilding that club. And 1 transfer window, 2 transfer windows, and you are absolutely fine. It's just a matter of making a couple of transfers, playing a coherent tactic, and not trying to, let's say, press at one end of the field while having your defensive line at the other end of the field. That's just madness, real life or Football Manager. Even though I think there was a meta tactic that I saw for FM23 maybe, where there was a super high press and a super low defensive line. Meta is meta. We're not really interested in that stuff. Maybe Ten Hag saw that and wanted to try it in real life. Anyway, just to give you a quick preview on how we're doing with Sheffield United, not too bad. We had a couple of dodgy results to start the Premier League. We had a 1-1 draw against Aston Villa, which wasn't actually that bad. Lost to Nottingham Forest, and then I made a tactical switch, which actually worked. You can see the 4 straight wins there. Granted, one was against Barrow in the League Cup. The loss against Fulham was kind of unlucky because we got a red card and still managed to play them off the park, just couldn't get that equalizer. They went 2-0 up after 10 minutes or something like that. We then got royally tonked by Liverpool, and then smashed Arsenal, and then lost to Liverpool at Anfield, by the way, in the last kick of the game. So Liverpool, what they did in real life on the weekend, they did to me in Football Manager. I'm not bitter. But just to finish up this video, we do need to go into that Arsenal game. I'm going to switch the goals. Since we were talking about set pieces and Arsenal, this is the perfect way to end it. So here we go, corner kick, Ollie Norwood, he's doing the in-swinger. We've got 3 guys outside the goal, we've got 5 guys inside. We've got a decoy on the far post, that is Archer, that is my box threat. We've got Egan lurking where the ball is going to be delivered. And we've got the 3 guys who are about to attack where the ball is going to go. This is going to come to the near post. Exactly what Statman Dave was basically talking about as to how Arsenal play their set pieces. So can we out-Arsenal the Arsenal? Let's have a look. Norwood in she goes. Egan with the header. That was an overload. It was 3-on-1 at the near post, and in she goes. Just to show you that that kind of tactic, actually, just as it works in real life, it works on Football Manager. So, should I go ahead and make the Sheffield United rebuild? Should I actually do a video at the end of the season? How do you want me to do it? Let me know. Also, let me know what tactics would you play if you were playing Sheffield United to rescue them in the Premier League this season. It is probably the worst squad in the league. They're spending very, very little on wage budget, so it is a nice, fun little challenge to stay in the league this season. Maybe push for Europe after a good couple of transfer windows, and then see how soon we can win the league. That's kind of my aim for this save. Let's see how we go. Quick look at where we are in the league table. That is it. We are firmly mid-table, 1 point behind Manchester United. Talk to you guys in the comments below. Thank you very much again. Have a lovely end of the week.